Monday, I told you 11:30 out. Okay. Okay, so we had almost finished the Gulick principles of management by Gulick. Only one principle is left, that is staff and line principle. Okay. Okay, there are several implications of this principle, staff and line principle. Okay. When we talk about any organization, the design of the organization is based on the functioning of the line only. Okay, whatever structure all these theorists are talking about, it is only considering the line personnel and nobody else. Okay, the hierarchy is established for these people. Okay. So they are the ones who are basically what we can say directly in the line of fire. Okay. They are the ones who will be executing whatever has been decided. Okay. In fact, they will be the main decision makers in the organization, right from the top CEO to the street level bureaucrat or street level personnel. All of them are the part of line. Okay. So line is the main executive structure of the organization, and the entire organizational theory is designed around this. So these people, or Gulick and Erwig, okay. In fact, Taylor also has talked about certain number of employees under the functional foremanship who will be conducting or doing planning part. Okay. But now see, there is a difference. Here, the staff does not do planning technically. Okay. Staff's role is only advisory in nature. Now imagine a collector who is performing so many functions. Okay, a typical collector has, I am taking example from India. Okay, so if we talk about a DC, he has almost 120 committees, of which he is a ex officio chairman for more than 120 committees. Okay, at the state level, typically there are at least 28 departments. Okay, irrigation, PWD, forest, fire, information now, election, okay, various other departments or various functions are there which he has to manage. Now obviously this person, because he will be engaged in doing so many activities, he do not or he will not have time for, or for that matter let us say simply study. Okay. No academic orientation of the district collector. He cannot visualize the problems, analyze them, okay, do a fact finding and then analyze these facts, find the cause of whatever is happening. It is impossible for him. Okay. So obviously he requires a separate set of people who will be consistently doing this task. Okay. Now imagine it is just a district collector. Now imagine it is a chief secretary. Okay. So highest level, who might be managing number of district collectors also. So at the level of chief secretary, now he has number of tasks to perform. He is also part of execution. Okay. And when he is linked, let's say chief secretary, and when he is working in collaboration with chief minister, okay, so he is also advising the chief minister on planning, policy, okay, information, analysis of the information, comparative studies, so many things he is doing. So that part of the organization where the chief secretary or the secretaries are working, that is doing both the tasks. One, managing these people, other, supporting the chief minister or the political system with their own views or support or advice or whatever you say. Are you getting it? So at that level, they are performing both the functions, planning as well as execution. Okay. But even they cannot do it permanently. Okay. So either what the organization will do, it will keep a permanent staff, or it will associate number of agencies who will do staff function. Now what is a staff function? Staff function is not the execution function. Staff function can be anything which is more academic and research and development oriented. Okay, any activity associated with that, academic, analytical, research and development, that is a staff. Now it can be a permanent staff, it can be an ad hoc staff. Okay, if I have to implement the RTI or I have to implement the Aadhaar, then probably I will hire a group of people, okay, identify their terms of reference of working, keep them on payroll or maybe on contract basis and tell them, okay, in 1 year you kindly submit me a report. That will also be a staff. Or I may have a permanent staff like Planning Commission, which is not directly the part of the authority of the government, but it is working continuously for supporting or advising the government. Okay. So if we see a typical government structure, okay, it looks like this. Okay, there is a political system, or you can say the executive. Okay, below them there will be a secretariat. The secretariat consists of obviously all these public servants. Okay, mostly the IAS officers or the public servants, you can say. Okay, they are doing both the functions, planning and execution. Why I am using word execution? Because it is their hierarchy only which extends to the lowest level. Okay, they are not directly doing it, but they are making some people who are just part of the same service do those things. Okay, and there will be another. Okay, this is a typical secretariat and directorates. Now these directorates can be called as the line. Okay, they are pure line. They don't have any other function apart from execution. Okay, like DGP. Okay, here we can have a Home Secretary. Now Home Secretary is the boss of DGP. Okay, he is the boss of DGP, but he is not directly controlling him. Okay, that means he is not actually the boss in this hierarchy, but he is the overall boss of the police. Okay, Home Secretary. So here Secretary is performing both the functions, providing the political system with the feedback, advice, and at the same time controlling the DGP also. Okay. So in this type of structure, the secretariat has both the functions, or secretariat performs staff as well as line functions, whereas the directorate performs only the line functions. So your chief secretary may be considered mostly as doing staff functions, advising the political system and also monitoring the directorates. Okay. Directorates would be, let's say there are 28 departments, so every department will have its own departmental head. Okay. That departmental head is the line. Okay. So Director General of Police, okay, Chief Engineer, or Principal Chief Conservator of Forest, okay, or somebody related to that, they all will be the lines. Are you understanding this? So practically it is manifested this way. Theoretically what they are saying, okay, that every organization, okay, now see, try to understand their logic. Even though they are the supporters of a rigid structure, they understand that organizations need to change. Okay. Though change that they might not be brought at the level of human factor, but at least at the level of procedure they require change. Okay. So the staff agencies, they will consistently support the line in performing the duties which are routine type and also the duties which are non-routine type. Okay. So two types of staff would be there. One, a general staff, and the other, the technical staff. So let's say a decision regarding which software to be used, okay, or which vendor to be approved, who is providing a particular technology service, has to be taken by the CEO or the head of the organization. Now he does not know about it. So the technical staff will support him. Okay. Day-to-day management, routine operations, supervision, control, coordination. Okay, again, he cannot do everything. So he will again require some people who will be helping him in general staff. Okay. This general staff can be further divided into people who are performing auxiliary functions and who are supporting the administrative functions. Okay. Let's say a file is not moving because of certain decisions which have not been taken. So they will advise the line that okay, you kindly make arrangement for the movement of this file. It is because of this reason it is not being done. You kindly do it. Or you must do it this way, not this way. Okay. Auxiliary staff, now the collector has to drink water. The office has to be maintained. Okay. The file has to be physically moved from here to there. Stationery has to be brought to the office. Okay. Fuel is missing in the cars. Okay. All this is the work of the auxiliary staff. So they are doing purely maintenance. Okay. And they are performing or helping the CEO or the head with the routine tasks. Okay. They help with the dynamic tasks. Okay. So what is the benefit of staff? Should there be staff? Okay. Yes, there should be a staff. Okay. Because you see the nature of complexity. Imagine from a police state to a welfare state to today more modern state. Okay. Human rights, social justice, infrastructure, various things have to be performed. So it is impossible for one person or the unity of command structure if it exists. In most of the government, in private sector it exists. Okay. So in such a situation it will be impossible for the head to even visualize the consequences of the decisions he is making. Every decision cannot be purely rational. So these people will increase the rationality of the decisions. Some decisions may not be taken purely on the quantitative aspects. So these people will supplement the boss with the values, the norms, the cultural implications and so many other things because they can view the problems much more locally. Because he is the head, he cannot view the problems locally. They can move around the organization, formal, informal, every aspect they can understand and then they can give an advice to the boss. That is the utility of staff. But staff will create an additional burden on the organization. Resource burden. Management of the staff. Okay. They will be on the payrolls mostly if they have to work every day. So it will not be detrimental to the budgetary financial implications for the organization. Hoga? So from where it will be compensated? They will increase the efficiency or decrease the efficiency. That is the logic. So if the staff is there, now these people are after the efficiency and rationality. So how will they justify the aspect of staff within the organization? Okay. So Gulick and Ervik or whosoever are supporting classical theorists, the idea of staff, they are saying that the staff is going to increase the efficiency of the organization. So whatever the losses due to the additional burden of the human resources created, that will be compensated. Okay. And there might not be need of a permanent staff. The staff can be ad hoc also in nature. Okay. The same logic is implemented in most of the public organizations today. Staff agencies, okay, though they do not exercise the authority, but they have the authority of knowledge. If the Planning Commission or the Niti Aayog says that this is to be done, you don't know about this particular thing, we know it because we have done a research on that. So obviously the CEO or the Prime Minister or whatsoever, the Secretary is bound to implement it. So they may not be exercising the actual power, formal power given to the boss of the organization or head of the department, but they are exercising power over the head of the department through the sheer virtue of their knowledge. Okay. This type of authority is known as noetic authority. The knowledge or power exercised based on the knowledge, noetic authority. So when we compare line and staff, the staff has more noetic authority compared to the line. Okay. Even though line functionaries may also have knowledge, but their knowledge is restricted by the rules, procedures and formal aspects. The staff is not regulated by those formal things, and that is why there is a flexibility in the operation of the staff. So the missing creativity which is there in most of the structures, rational structures that we design, so creativity is missing, that is compensated by the role of staff. Are you understanding that? So that means these people were not that non-creative. They were not that unwise. They knew the utility of having a dynamism or a dynamic part in the organization, even though they were after the structure. Have you understood this much? Okay. But staff-line relationship is not always positive. Okay, even though that is why they have been created, that they should not be the part of the formal hierarchy, because this will create the conflict. They also have knowledge, he also has knowledge, and he also has the power. So what will happen? There will be a conflict. They might not accept what he is saying, or he might not accept what they are saying. So that is why they have not been put into the formal hierarchy. But still there are conflicts. Why will there be conflict? But they are only the supplementing agencies. Why should they come in conflict with the line? It is the duty of the line to implement the policy or execute it. They don't have any function there. So why should they come in conflict? Okay. No, staff has been assigned a task. Why will it be guided by different values? It might include more factors of analysis. They will be factually more, or the information would be more with them compared to the line. Okay, that is not the reason. See, reason is that they are not the subordinate to staff. Sorry, they are not subordinate to line. Okay, even though they are not part of the hierarchy. Okay, formally or informally associated, but they are not the subordinates, first of all. Secondly, most of the experts and technocrats are used in the staff, okay, who have wide experience of their own field. Okay. Because of that, what happens? They have developed some entrenched value system. Okay. Through their experiences, through their knowledge, what has done? They have rigidified certain things. So it is very difficult for them to first leave it. Secondly, because they are technically very competent. Whatever suggestions they give, they assume that there is no other rational suggestion, or there is no other rational alternative to what we are saying. So they may not accept no for an answer by the line. Okay. Line is formally the most powerful person, or line head of the department is the powerful. So he might also not welcome the interference of the staff. Okay. So it is said that they have, or they give advices which seem to be more ideal. Okay, ideal not means value based. Ideal means perfect type of solutions. Okay. Whereas, because they know the real problems of the administration or real problems of the execution, so they are more governed by those factors. So imagine a dam has to be constructed. Now they give the advice that, okay, prior to the dam, do this analysis, do the research, gather the data, and then implement the dam or make the dam. Or don't make the dam here, make it here. Now the line says that no, the chief minister has announced the dam has to be constructed there only, and we have to follow the order, we will construct the dam there only. Okay. Have you heard of Tehri Dam? Why it is famous? Highest dam. What kind of highest? It comes in zone 4. No, why it is, how it is highest means Bhakra Nangal Dam is largest. Is it or not? Largest masonry dam. Engineering पढ़ा है, time pass किया. Civil engineering किया किसी ने? Nobody. Okay. So how it is highest? You tell me. Highest मतलब height है, highest gravity dam है. What is it? Fine. Now see the rate of silting, okay, of that dam is much faster than what was written in the documents. It is posing a grave threat to the ecosystem there. Now see why? Because let us say the dam was constructed, okay, with obviously some purpose which were both political as well as technical. Okay. But if there was no technical analysis done, proper technical analysis, now let's say the project director of the dam coming from the Indian Engineering Services or from some other engineering background, whereas the administrative authority of the dam is coming from the civil services. So he is saying that, okay, let us say we have already constructed this much, we have already spent this much money, so we must make the dam. And he is saying, okay, after making this much or this part of the dam, now we have realized that there is no need to make the dam here. So technical and administrative information may come in conflict with each other. Okay. That is the reason we say that they give ideal suggestions, they give utopian suggestions, whereas they are more practical. Okay. But it may not be always so. Okay, because these people are working. Okay, if we take the government organization, these people are working on number of political and socio-cultural considerations. These people are working purely on the rational considerations. Okay. So they come in conflict. Okay. There are also other reasons that most of the people in this hierarchy, okay, they are coming from some central services, all India services, let's say in government. Okay, and they are not, or they do not match the experience of these people. Okay, so there is a kind of heartburn, there is a jealousy amongst them that, okay, we are technocrats, we are much more experienced, our age is much more than them, okay, but they are the ones who are actually controlling us. Okay. Typically in the government I am talking about. Now in the private sector it might not be so. Okay, now you write. You kindly make this. Okay. Some students have said कि बहुत ऊपर मत लिखिए. अब इसके ऊपर तो नहीं लिख रहा हूँ मैं. But I think this much is visible. Irrelevant things I'll write there. Okay, relevant things I'll write here. So even if you don't see, it's okay. और जो टेक्निकल नॉलेज देगा, सॉफ्टवेयर इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए कोई तो नॉलेज देगा तुम्हें, वो टेक्निकल स्टाफ होगा. ओके, डे टू डे ऑपरेशंस, डिसीजन मेकिंग विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द स्पेसिफिक फंक्शंस यू आर परफॉर्मिंग. ठीक है, डिसीजन लेना है ये बताएगा, क्या डिसीजन लेना है लिखो. मेंटोस खाओ, देर से बत्ती मत जलाओ. ठीक है, मतलब तुम इतना सोच रहे हो उसके ऊपर, इतना क्यों सोच रहे हो? टेक्निकल स्टाफ मींस व्हाट? ओके, आरटीआई इंप्लीमेंट करना है. सो आरटीआई की टेक्निकलिटीज कौन बताएगा? लेट अस से यू आर एन आईएएस ऑफिसर, यू डोंट नो, you have been posted as collector, now some information or RTI application comes to you, you don't know what is there, how it is to be executed. So technically he will tell you. ठीक है? Right, okay. Have you made it? Thank you. Line and staff principle. Line and staff principle. Though seems to be contradictory to the unity of command structure. The unity of command structure. In reality, contradictory to the unity of command structure. In reality, it is not so. Staff agencies are associated with the line or the parent department. Staff agencies are associated with the line or the parent department. Or the parent department in order to provide supporting functions. Supporting functions which may include both technical as well as general, which may include both technical as well as general functions. General functions involve day-to-day routine tasks. Day-to-day routine tasks. Which may require a discussion or a description or a briefing. Discussion or a briefing. Okay. On the other hand, the technical staff will support in providing specific information or technical details. Specific information or technical details with respect to the decisions which may require a thorough analysis. Let's say, for example, a head of the organization communicating to his subordinates is like a general routine function. But a head of the organization communicating to some panchayat adhyaksh or to some civil society movement or some civil society members. Now this is also a kind of regular function, but it is not routine with respect to the organization. By routine functions are being performed within the organization or between the organization and the citizens. But there are certain functions which may emerge, which may come up, where the head of the organization might not know what is the exact procedure or from where should I know this procedure. So the technical staff is going to support it. Okay. There are also maintenance functions. Mostly in the nature of providing utilities and services. Nature of providing utilities and services, which is done by the auxiliary staff. Maintenance? क्या लिखा अभी वो कहाँ पे मिस किया? Maintenance and nature of providing utilities and services, mostly in the nature of providing utilities and services, which is done by the auxiliary staff. Okay. Auxiliary staff does not derive any power. Okay, even general staff may have little authority, okay, but the auxiliary staff actually does not have any authority. Okay. Peon, khalasis, okay. Likewise, those people are the part of auxiliary staff. Okay. Housekeeping, okay, likewise functions. Okay, but they are also in the hierarchy, they are also important. Why? Because the structure of the organization cannot be designed without them also. Okay, they are also an important ingredient. Not in terms of authority, but at least in terms of contribution. Fine. Okay. The benefit of staff. The benefit of staff can be understood with respect to the following. Okay, number one. Most of the line functionaries are involved in, most of the line functionaries are involved in execution, and they have little time to comprehend the implications of various issues and decisions. Their role is mostly mechanical, that is predefined. Mostly mechanical, that is predefined. Second, in the changing circumstances, the hierarchical structure may not be able to adapt due to lack of information or inability to respond. Third point. Many times, especially in the public sector or in the public administration, you write, otherwise again you will confuse. Many times in the public administration or government administration, the decisions by the line are influenced. Decisions by the line are influenced by the political and social considerations, thereby reducing the efficiency of the decisions. In such a scenario, next paragraph, in such a scenario, the staff comes to the rescue of line. As number one. As number one. It comprises of experts, technocrats and specialists. Experts, technocrats and specialists. Who may have wide experience of their own sectors. Second, they have flexibility in their operations, flexibility in their operations, and are not bound by the procedural limitations of the organization. Third point, they provide multi-dimensional perspective to the problems. Though, next paragraph, though the nature of staff agencies is mostly advisory, they do not have the power to enforce but as their knowledge base is much wider compared to the line, they may exercise the virtual authority of knowledge. This type of authority may be referred to as the noetic authority. The additional burden created on the organization due to association of staff agencies may be compensated in terms of the increased efficiency and performance of the organization. Now see, there is a very not famous but quite popular example, used in number of case studies. So Hanumanji, you must have heard of Hanumanji. So when Hanuman went to get the Sanjeevani, so and when he came back, and he did not bring the Sanjeevani, he brought the entire, kaun sa? Sanjeevani mountain. Somewhere located in Uttarakhand. नहीं. अच्छा. तुम उत्तराखंड से ही हो ना भाई? अच्छा. So he brought it back. Obviously he saved the life of Lakshman. But his entire to and fro, okay, whatever the expedition he carried on, it was submitted to the auditor. ठीक है. उस समय भी ऑडिट होता था भाई, ऐसा क्या? It was a structure. Okay. So it was submitted or it was to be evaluated by the auditor. So auditor raised number of questions and did not approve the TA bill of the Hanuman. Okay. The king was Bharat. But technically it was the Bharat. So he raised certain objections. That while pursuing this course of expedition, he did not take the permission of the king. So he violated the first principle. And by chain of command उसने break किया. Permission किससे लिया था? Ram से. Ram was not the king. Okay. So he went. Secondly, okay, he had to bring a Sanjeevani, but he brought the entire mountain. So the cost incurred was much higher than it would have been. Okay. तो उसने बोला कि नहीं, ये भी पे नहीं होगा. ठीक है. ठीक है. Thirdly, as he was a general staff, he was a grade B employee in the structure of, okay. So because he was a grade B employee, he was not entitled to an airfare. But he used the airway. Okay. Based on this conditions, the auditor did not pass his expense. Okay. But when Hanumanji now, he knew by that, कि भाई ऐसा होगा, then what will happen? Okay. So I may be fined or whatever. So he asked the auditor to take 20% cut of the TA which he will get. Now see, the auditor changed the terms and conditions. He said it is okay, as the Bharat was ruling the country with the slippers of Ram. So it was actually the Ram who was governing, not the Bharat. So his earlier statement modified. Okay. Then he said, okay, if the Hanuman had brought the wrong Sanjeevani or the wrong booty, then he would have to be taken, or he would have taken another journey. So the cost of journey was reduced because the entire pahad was brought. Okay. Third, he is saying in terms of emergency, if there is a case of emergency, even the group B employees are allowed to travel air, by air. Now he has modified all the conditions and now the TA was approved. Okay. So this is just a reference given that how the administrative structure or how the administrative structure behaves. So when the staffs are associated, there is additional burden created. Okay, now how will you justify this additional burden? Obviously you will say that, okay, because the staff is associated, number of government agencies, when they include the experts are billed at per hour. Okay, private agencies, experts are billed at per hour. Okay. Most of the experts coming from the private sector into the government through the staff agencies. So their billing is very high. Now how will they justify this cost to the bureaucrat who is sitting there as the head of the organization? So there are a number of accountants or financial experts who justify this cost. That you see, you will take this decision 5 times. Okay, now they are doing that work. Now whatever decisions you make, okay, will be more efficient and it will be your name, not their name. Because staff would be mostly anonymous. Just like what Lalu Prasad said, that okay, I was the one who made the turnaround in the railways in India. It was not the Lalu Prasad. So the staffs are justified on certain grounds because there will always be an authority conflict. So the line agencies generally do not like the involvement of the staff. But the management justifies it on certain grounds, that they are anonymous, they are going to increase your name and fame. It is actually you who will exercise the authority and not them, and so on. Because of this, what happens? Number of conflicts, okay, they are avoided. But in spite of that, the conflicts will always arise. Okay, now you write. Okay, even though the staff supplements and reduces the burden of the head or the line agencies, reduces the burden of the head or the line agencies. There are areas of conflict which may arise. Areas of conflict which may arise, like number one, the line agencies feel that the staff provides utopian or ideal suggestions. Utopian or ideal suggestions. Secondly, they do not understand the administrative realities. And hence they provide boardroom suggestions. They provide boardroom suggestions or armchair advices. Okay. Third point. Staff agencies tend to encroach into the formal line of command. Formal line of command, bypassing the head while providing direct advice to the middle and lower levels. Next. They are technocratic and myopic in their vision. Deriving most of their information and knowledge. Based on quantitative data analysis. Quantitative data analysis. Whereas the real world, multi-causal factors are involved. Whereas in the real world, multi-causal factors are involved. So their approach is mostly linear. Okay, why linear? Because they are in search for, okay, they are in search for single causation. Okay, and that is why they try to make it more empirical. Okay. So they will analyze the quantitative data, try to find out, okay, what is the empirical cause and effect relationship, means and end relationship, and then they will suggest that, okay, this is the best decision. But the real world example, the real world administration it does not work like that. It is not linear in nature. If you do today something, then the consequence may not be what you had perceived in your boardroom. Okay. So there is no decision making or alternative left to the line. That in such a circumstance, what needs to be done? Okay. If we are not able to maximize the decision, then what should we do? Okay. If we go for another decision, then what is the implication ultimately? Okay. So they do not perceive the problems in that way. Okay. Staff agencies, they are mostly technocratic in nature. Okay. Their focus is on identifying the cause-effect relationships. Okay. So they are saying, or the line agencies are raising number of doubts that, okay, what is the utility or whether they are going to serve the required utility of the organization or not. On the other hand, staff also has number of issues with the line. Okay. So staff says they don't pay heed to our advices because we do not have the authority to enforce it. Okay, right? Okay. On the other hand, the staff agencies feel that number one, the line agencies enjoy excessive authority without a sense of responsibility. Without a sense of responsibility. Okay. Second, they tend to justify their decisions based on socio-political constraints. That is, they always have an excuse for being non-efficient. Third, they tend to give more importance to protocols and procedures. Than performance. That is, they are means centric. the staff is end-centric or mean-centric? Staff is generally end-centric. Okay, the line is mean-centric. So there will always be a conflict. Okay. For them, the means becomes the end. Okay. For them, end is more important, the means may not be important. Okay. So the staff and line generally comes in conflict. Staff and line can also be visualized as, okay, if we take, let's say, the public services. So in the public services, okay, like India, for example, even though it may not be true universally, but if we talk about India or India-like systems, so the real line or the power exercised by the line agencies, the real line comprises of people known as generalists. Okay. Generalists, why? Because they are to perform some common administrative functions. Okay. They are not going to perform any technical function. Technical means it is not purely related to some particular sector, some scientific domain, or for that matter for any specific knowledge is required. No scientific, technical or academic knowledge is necessary to do administration. So all those who are involved in the administration, they are mostly generalists. Generalists are those people, okay, whose recruitment is based on general qualifications. So for their recruitment or the nature of exam which they undergo, it is not technical in nature, it is highly general qualifications. Even if you may be an engineer or MBA or whatever, the nature of the UPSC exam for your selection is not technical, it is only generalist. Okay. So there is no specific qualification required apart from a general qualification like a graduation. So these people, they qualify a general exam, but they are the ones exercising the maximum authority in the system. Okay. Also, generalist is related to the kind of function which is performed. So if we say the kind of function which is performed by the line in the government is what? It is like a general administration. Something like PostCorp. Okay, nothing more than the PostCorp. Planning, organizing, staffing and some general functions. Okay, it is not related to any technical knowledge or expert knowledge is required for that. Okay. So the nature of function is also general. The manner or the process of recruitment and the required knowledge is also general. So they are known as generalists. Okay. Also one typical feature of generalist is that the mobility is very high. As their function is only to administer, so interdepartmental mobility or transfer is easy. Now if somebody is an engineer, okay, he may not be required in a non-engineering sector or non-engineering department. But if somebody is a generalist, he may be required everywhere. Because everywhere you have to administer at least. You have to make things happen. You might not be doing it, but you have to make it happen. So this making it happen function is required in every department. So they can be moved easily from one department to another department. They can become heads of any type of department because they are not related to the specific or technical nature of the work performed in that department. Are you getting? So they are performing only general supervisory functions. They are known as the generalists. Okay. On the other hand, there are a number of officials or number of public servants who are recruited through a specific procedure, a specific type of examination. Okay. They are known as specialists. Okay. They are domain specific. Engineering related to certain areas of engineering. Okay, railway related to typically railway only. Okay, meteorological service, education service, health service, likewise, they may be related to particular service and they cannot be transferred or intertransferability from one service to another service, one department to another department, not possible. Okay, because the qualification that they have would be suitable only to a particular domain. Okay. So if the line is performing general administrative functions in any organization, mostly let us say they are implementing, okay, or the top level line making them implement, forcing them, or you can say supervising them in the implementation. So they don't have to upgrade their technical knowledge. Okay, this routine is established, functions have been defined, procedure is there, they just have to see whether it is being done or not done. Okay. So these people do not develop an expertise over a particular domain or over a particular sector. Because the kind of function they are performing, it does not let them acquire expertise over a particular type of function. They may be experts of administration, but administration is such a general function that it can be performed anywhere. Okay, it does not require any specific qualification. Fine. So specialists are associated with them, generalists. Okay. But as generalists are the main power wielders within the authority system, the specialists will be attached to them or will be supporting them only in the form of staff. Are you understanding this? Okay. It is just what we are doing, an analogy we are drawing from line and staff to generalist and specialist. Okay. If you see, even in their own department, okay, they may be actually exercising the power, but with respect to the main power exercising authority in the government, what is? They are just acting like a support. The collector is going to decide what is going to happen, not the PWD engineer. The PWD engineer or the superintending engineer or XCN, he may decide, okay, or he may allot the contract for the road making, but it will be the collector who will decide when the road will be made. How it will be made, he may decide. So he also has authority in his own hierarchy, but with respect to the actual administration, he does not enjoy the authority. So even if he is making a road, when to make the road, where to make the road, okay, to make it or not to make it is the decision of the generalist. So there are so many functions where the generalists may require the support of specialists. So technocrats, specialists are associated with them. So if you take a typical government structure, the line comprises of the specialists, the generalists and not the specialists. If you take the civil services also in India, then IAS is the only service which is a pure generalist. If an IPS or IRS we talk about, they will generally work in their own departments throughout their lives. The IPS cannot become the Home Secretary, okay, and then further cannot become the Finance Secretary. But it is the IAS who can become all of them. So IAS enjoys the privilege of being the pure generalists. So even in the civil services or even in the line which we are conceiving, the administration, okay, it is only the IAS and rest of them can be considered as specialists. IPS, IRS, railway traffic, okay, ordnance factory, postal service, everything can be considered as specialists because they will be inducted into one particular department and throughout their life they will work in that department. नहीं बनता, कहाँ बनता, कहाँ बनता बताओ? नॉन-AS कहाँ बनता सेक्रेटरी? ओके, नॉन-AS सेक्रेटरी नहीं बनते. ठीक है? He may be awarded the status of a secretary. There is no rule. Okay. Obviously, secretary or chief secretary, they are political appointments. So, if a chief minister wishes or the prime minister wishes, yes, there can be people. Okay, but that is not a rule. So, if we take the public services, okay, it is the line, okay, which is, or it is the generalist who acts like a line. The specialists act like a staff. So they will be associated with the departments or the heads of the organization to provide technical knowledge Okay, but they will not be able to exercise the actual authority within the entire government structure. Have you understood this much?
Not all specialists perform staff functions.
No, not all specialists, but most of the staff functions will be performed by the specialist only. Okay, so all the specialists are not staff, but most of the staff is specialist. Okay. Right. So you can take this distinction as this distinction also. Okay, it is implied. Okay, it is not Gulick what Gulick is saying. Okay, we are implying it. Why? Because in future, when we discuss generalist and specialist, okay, or the personnel administration, the role of various services within the government sector, okay, then this debate will again come. So here, the specialists are mostly drawn in the form of staff, or they work mostly in the form of staff, providing the technical support to the government or the bureaucracy. Okay, the journalists are mostly the line functionaries. Wherever you go, you just see. Okay, we are governed in the form of a territory, not in the form of functions. Okay, so district is what? A territory. District is not a function. Okay. More or less in number of all the districts of India, there might be some common functions. Okay, so they will be performed by their individual heads. Okay, but none of them will enjoy autonomy as the district collector will. Okay, so our system is created in such a manner that we have a basic unit of governance as the territory, not the function. So within a territory, all the functions will be performed, but who will be the head? One head, the collector. Then at the regional level, commissioner. So we are not talking about DIGs, okay, or ex-superintending engineers or conservator of forest. They might be performing their individual hierarchies, functions, okay, but the overall control will be the commissioner. Okay, then go to the higher level, the heads of the departments, the directorates, DGP, whatever, chief engineer, whatever. Now they are the heads of their own hierarchies, but they are not exercising the power as a head, overall head. It will be the chief secretary. Even in a particular organization, it will be the secretary, not the head of the department. So you see, structure is created in such a manner that generalist will always occupy, or they will, they will have more power compared to the specialist, always. It is deliberately created. Are you understanding this? So you have to just understand that this analogy can be drawn into this analogy. Okay. They might not be synonymous, but they are similar. Okay. So this comparison is not synonymous, but it is similar in nature. Okay. And when we analyze it, so it seems that most of this is coming from here, most of this is coming from here. इतना समझ में आया? आगे बढ़ो फिर. क्या लिखा? What did you write? एंड कहाँ लिखा? एंड क्या कहाँ किया? मीन सेंट्रिक. Okay. Okay, right. Take another paragraph. Right. Okay, staff line conflict is not uncommon. Staff नहीं, टेक्नोक्रेट्स. ठीक है, लेकिन PSU है, ऑटोनॉमस है. ठीक है, वो बनाया गया. बहुत सारी एजेंसीज जो है उनको ऑटोनॉमस बनाया गया बाय एन एक्ट. ठीक है, बट अल्टीमेटली इट इज द IAS ओनली ओवरऑल. फाइनेंस सेक्रेटरी तो IAS है ना, ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्रेटरी तो IAS है ना. ओके भैया, बीच में बुलाओ मत मुझे यार. are not is not uncommon. Staff line conflict is not uncommon within the organization. Its practical manifestation is visible. Its practical manifestation is visible in the government sector quite often. Okay, the staff is generally drawn from the specialists. Staff is generally drawn from the specialists. Whereas the line is dominated by the generalists. Is dominated by the generalists. As there is no dual command structure. As there is no dual command structure, that is separate hierarchies for specialists or separate parallel, you write, separate parallel hierarchies for specialists and generalists. The generalists tend to dominate the specialists. Okay. The government administration is mostly territory or area based, and not function based. And hence generalists tend to become more powerful in terms of exercising the authority, and making the decisions. Okay. Staff, last line लिखे. Staff line principle has implications for both public as well as private. Staff line principle has implications for both public as well as private. And it is a common feature today. In most of the organizations. Okay, write a question just below this. The staff provides the much needed creative freedom the staff provides the much needed creative freedom to the line agencies. Critically evaluate. Okay. When we say critically evaluate, if it is written criticize, then reverse the statement, elaborate it. If it is given criticize, if it is critically evaluate, criticize this statement, okay, but provide the arguments and alternatives. So you criticize it, but don't leave it at criticism. Provide the arguments that why this is not acceptable, why this is wrong, why this is the limitation, and how this limitation can be overcome. Will you be able to write something? Okay. Yes, is coming from only the first bench. Sure. There is a very famous story. ठीक है. Aesop fables पढ़ा? नहीं पढ़ा. सुना? पंचतंत्र. Who wrote it? Vishnu Sharma. Okay, so there is a story that there was a lion in the jungle, and one day he decided to usurp his power, exercise his authority. Okay. Because he became little old. Nobody was listening to him. So he said, no, today I will show that, okay, I am the king. Okay. So he told one of his staff that kindly go and find out certain animals who should be brought in front of me, or go and announce in the jungle that anybody, okay, or I am going to start eating all the animals. If somebody makes me laugh by his joke, then he will be spared. Okay. So a hare or a rabbit comes, okay, he tells his joke, the lion is not amused, okay, he eats. Okay. Then some other deer comes, again, lion is not amused, he eats it. Okay. Then a tortoise comes, tells the story, okay, the king or the lion does not laugh, so he eats the tortoise. Okay. Later, some other animal comes, okay, he also tells the joke. Okay, now the lion starts laughing. So the animal feels that, okay, no, I am safe, I am spared. Okay, now the lion says, oh, the tortoise, the joke he told, it was amazing. After eating the tortoise, he came to know. Okay. तो लेट मत जलाओ दिमाग की बत्ती, नुकसान होता है उससे. ठीक है. If you can interpret this statement, okay, it is a question worthy of being in the UPSC. Okay, this is generally how the UPSC asks the question. Okay, because there is not enough content to write it. Okay, it is only a concept-based question. But how you create a content now depends on you. Okay, so you will have to analyze various factors. Okay, provide a brief introduction, discuss the line and staff, okay, and then go on to write your concept. Okay. If you directly jump to the concept, you will not have enough content to write in the answer. Okay. So let me see how creative you are. Let us go to the Erwick's principle. They are also very simple. Okay. Okay, so Gulick gave 10 principles and Erwick gave 8 principles. Almost similar type. Okay. Little different, complementing the missing aspects of the Gulick's principles. Okay. Few we have already discussed, but again we can write. Okay. Principle of correspondence. Okay. I think you remember. Okay. What was principle of correspondence? Yeah. The authority must be commensurate to the responsibility. Okay. So it ensures something. What? The accountability. Okay, you can enforce the accountability only when you have given authority equivalent to the responsibility. Fine. So clear. Second, principle of objectives. Okay. Obviously, this is also very important. Okay, that means the organization must have a purpose. Okay. In fact, that should be the first principle. Without a purpose, the organization cannot come into being. So as Gulick is saying, the principle of division of work is central to the organization. Okay, we can say Erwick feels the principle of coordination and principle of objective, both are necessary for the organization to exist. So it must have a purpose, it must have a goal. Okay, without goal, obviously, why will you create an organization? Is there any example where organizations come up without goal? Goal is not defined, but organizations are created in the government. Okay. After a few days, we will study public choice approach. Okay, in that they are criticizing, okay, or there is a principle which says Parkinson's law. Okay, so government creates unnecessary work. Okay, it deliberately creates a work which does not exist. Okay. So example was given by one particular theorist. Okay, he is saying that the government may create, okay, a department of maintenance of water holes. Okay. Is such a department required? Department of maintenance of taps. Department of management of shoes. Okay, maybe present in the government. Okay, so in the government sector, number of departments also come up without a goal. Okay. So this principle is not something a superfluous principle. It is saying, if we are assuming that every organization comes up with a goal, no, it is not. So this principle is saying that first you have to define a purpose. If your purpose is not defined, your structure will not be defined. Okay. So principle of objectives. Okay, that means organization must have a purpose. And this purpose must be well defined. So the next principle comes. The principle of definition. Principle of definition involves principle of or defining the purpose clearly. Okay, write one line. principle of definition includes a clear prescription for achieving the goal decided. Each person's work must be defined. Each person's work must be defined as well as justified in the context of overall goal. Overall goal must be justified in the context of overall goal. So that is principle of definition. Then principle of responsibility. Principle of responsibility. Okay. This is also very typical. In fact, imposing more work on the superior. Okay. So this principle says that the superior must have the absolute responsibility for the work of subordinate. So even if the subordinate makes a mistake, it will be the duty of the superior to identify that mistake and correct it, or justify the mistake in front of the head of the department. Principle of responsibility. A superior must have an absolute responsibility for the work of subordinates below him or her, whatever. For the work of subordinates below him or her. Next principle. Same things. Principle of specialization. So if you see this one, okay, they are the implications of each other. Second, third, fifth. Principle of specialization means a person or an employee must limit his effort to a work of particular type only. That in no situation an employee must perform two different nature of tasks. Okay. Right. Okay. Employees in the organization must limit their work to a single function which can eventually develop their expertise in their domain of work, or in their domain. Expertise in their domain. So if you have a specialization and everybody is doing some unique type of function which is his area of expertise, then what will happen? You need to coordinate them. because interdependency will be high. Okay, so the more specialization, the more interdependency. Are you understanding this? Okay, so the next principle comes, the principle of coordination. Okay, so if the specialization would be high, okay, there will be more need for coordination. Okay, coordination is not just cooperation. इतना तो clear है ना? So coordination is not the cooperation; it is synchronization of the efforts. Okay, so if this is there, then there will be the benefit or the maximum benefit of the specialization. Okay, you can write one line. Synchronization of efforts is necessary to reap the benefits of specialization. Okay. Principle of span of control. Span of control, same thing. The supervisor or the superior must supervise an ideal number of subordinates, that is according to Arvik 5 to 6. Okay. So 5 to 6 number of ideal subordinates, or the superior can ideally supervise 5 to 6 number of subordinates. Okay. Then same, the scalar principle. That is the principle of hierarchy. Okay, write 2-3 points in this. Okay. The scalar principle includes the aspects of hierarchy, unity of command, unity of direction, hierarchy, unity of command, unity of direction, and procedural rationality. Procedural rationality. That is rational arrangement of all the activities within the organization. Okay, so division of work, especially everything is inherent to hierarchy, no doubt. Okay, but he includes all of them. Okay, so his principles are not much different from the Gulick's principle. Almost the similar thing. Okay, only that staff and line. Okay, these are some additions done by the Gulick than the Arvik. Okay, but you see the nature of principles which they develop is same. So their purpose was to create an ideal structure. Okay. In fact, whatever criticisms we have made of Fayol, the same criticisms can be made of Gulick and Arvik. But the logic is that Fayol was much more liberal with his or with respect to the understanding of organization compared to them. They were more rigid. Okay. How can we say they were more rigid? Correct? They tried to understand each and every aspect of the organization at the unit level. Okay. Even though they talked about the general principles of organization, but they were very discreet with respect to various aspects of organization. They wanted to assess, okay, analyze and then prescribe for understanding of each and every unit or every aspect of the organization. That kind of prescription will obviously be exploitative. It may give management more freedom to manage, no doubt, okay, or manager more freedom to regulate the employees, but obviously the overall creativity of the organization will be diminished. Okay. Every structure must have a factor of reform, a factor of safety with respect to the adaptation. There is nothing like that here. Even though they talk about staff principle, but then according to their logic, the staff is also an adjunct or a subsidiary structure to the main structure. So the staff's role is not prominent as far as the organizational decision making is concerned. Okay. And as they have not discussed anything about the human beings, they have not discussed about anything about their motivations, anything about the moral and ethical aspects of the human being, anything related to the culture of the organization. Okay, they have presupposed all that all those things are stable. Okay, they are the way, or the way they are, they will always remain that way, and that is why we need to focus on the structure. Okay. They have also not talked about the changing environment. Okay. For the peak of industrial revolution, this kind of structure of the organization is acceptable. Okay, but as the industrial revolution fades away, okay, or it gets matured over the time, then the requirements of the organizations will change. Okay. So there is not enough flexibility, even though Arvik, okay, accepts that in future we can develop more principles, we can include more principles, even he develops more principles. Okay. So Arvik, taking the logic of Fayol, Taylor, Follett, okay, Mooney and Rayleigh, they were also the important theorists. Okay, he developed some more principles, 29, 30 principles. Okay. But you can understand, this does not mean that they were liberal. It shows that they were so obsessed with the principles. Okay. So there cannot be a principle for everything. Okay. There cannot be a principle for eating. There cannot be a principle for sitting. Okay. Or likewise. But if they had their own way, then definitely they would have developed principles for them also, for the people in the organization. Okay. So their logic was what? To routinize the organization to that extent that any human intervention is impossible. Okay. Their logic was carried forward by, okay, not, I would not say after them, but whatever logic they have talked about, it was in the ideal form carried forward by Max Weber. Okay. So we'll criticize them, okay, but only when we study Max Weber. Okay. So that we can criticize them, all of them together, even though Weberian criticisms are huge. So separately we'll do it, but we'll draw a parallel analogy between the criticism of the classical theorists, Gulick, Arvik, Fayol, Mooney, Rayleigh, okay, and the criticism of the Weber. Okay, even though Weber may be the representative of all the classical theorists, okay, but nature of his criticism is different from them, but the logic is similar. Okay, so we can compare easily that, okay, how Weber was different from Gulick and Arvik. Okay, so within even the same arena of classical or traditional theories, how Weber was different from Fayol, okay, or how Fayol was different from Gulick and Arvik. Okay, so likewise then we'll criticize. So we'll not jump to the criticism unless we study Weber. Okay, then we'll start the criticism. So you leave some space. Okay. Once we study Weber, now we can criticize them better. Are you getting? Okay. Okay. So critique of Gulick and Arvik, and kindly don't be so specific about how much page to be left. Okay. Okay. Leave two sides of a page and move forward. If the need be, you can add additional page later. Okay. But right now you can just leave one page. So the apex of the classical theories or traditional model of organization is visible under the Max Weber. Now all this is happening between 1900 1910 or 1900 to 1937 or 1940. Okay. So they may be chronologically associated with paradigm 1. Okay. But Taylor does not fall under the paradigm 1 because paradigm 1 is about the dichotomy. The paradigm 2, the dominant aspect is the principle. So Taylor comes there irrespective of the time in which he developed his theory. Same way Max Weber. Okay. Late 20th century and early 21st century. 21st century? तो बोलो भाई क्यों सुन रहे हो ऐसे? You are sleeping, that means. So late 1800 and early 1900. So 90th century and 20th century. अब तो सही है. You are sleeping, that means. So the teacher should keep finding out whether the students are sleeping or not. But just by your face I can make out that what you are thinking at a particular point of time, because number is less. If it was more, obviously it was difficult for me, but still I remember the names, the expression, many things. Fine, let us talk about Weber first. So Weber or Max Weber, the entire public administration study revolves around Weber. So see how we can take Weber now. Weber was a theorist. Weber was an event in public administration. Weber was a landmark in public administration. Weber was a paradigm in public administration. So we are studying Weber in paradigm 2. But Weber himself is called as the paradigm of public administration. So Max Weber or Weberian model is called as the or Weber or theory is the paradigm of public administration as called by Waldo. That means you can understand the importance of Weber, the theory of bureaucracy which he developed, or the Weberian theory. You cannot conceive of public administration as a discipline without knowing the Weber. That is his logic. So he is saying, or Waldo is saying, that this entire century, 1900s, is dominated by, or administrative theories or administrative study is dominated by the logic of Weber. Somebody who supports Weber becomes pro-Weberian or Weberian in nature. Somebody who criticizes Weber becomes anti-Weberian in nature, but there can be nobody without the Weber. So either you are pro-Weber or you are anti-Weber, but you are Weber. That is the logic of Waldo. So he is saying, whatever theoretical developments took place, either they culminated into the Weberian model, or they were the offshoots of the criticism of Weberian model. There is no other logic existent in the administrative theory building in public administration. Fine. So why Weber became so dominant? Or who was technically Weber? Weber was obviously a German philosopher, sociologist, a jurist, a politician, combined into one, all of them. Weber had very closely monitored the formation of the German Weimar Constitution. In fact, he contributed to the formation of the Weimar Constitution of 1919. Have you heard of it? The Weimar Constitution, from where we have taken the emergency provisions in our constitution. Weber constitution नहीं सुना कभी? Kaiser was the king in Germany. या जर्मनी का जो किंग या जो टाइटलर हेड होता है उसको काइजर बोला जाता है. Okay, it was basically the monarchical constitution, but Weber was, because he had witnessed various things, the accession of Belgium, okay, Versailles Treaty of Versailles सुना होगा? Okay, fine. After the First World War, okay, so he witnessed all those things. Based on that logic, okay, he wanted to have a liberal democratic, or you can say a liberal democratic constitution for the Germany. Okay, but when Weimar constitution was made, which was enforcing the power of the Kaiser, okay, he supported certain things in this Weimar constitution, okay, which is very famous, Article 48. Why it is famous, I'll tell you. Article 48, the emergency provisions where the head or the Kaiser can acquire all the powers within or unto himself. So even though it was like a democratic constitution which he was supporting, not purely democratic, but there were democratic elements were there. But he specifically favored this Article 48, which later became the reason for the rise of Hitler. The Hitler acquired all the powers under this article. Okay. So Weber was criticized for that also, that in the search for a liberal or a democratic framework, you have supported such a provision which ultimately led to the exploitation of Germany. Okay. Obviously, but he did not know that will happen. So the Weber was, okay, like he was a practitioner, a theorist, a participant. Okay, he also contested elections but did not succeed. Okay. So likewise you can say his scope of study, okay, or his scope of participation in the politics, governance, society at various levels was hugely or more comprehensive than any of these theorists we have studied till now. Okay. Whether it is Taylor, whether it is Fayol, Gulick, Karwig, Munich, really anybody. So his scope or his canvas of the study of social, political, administrative realities was much more broader than any of these. And that could also be one of the reasons that the specific context in which the Weber comes, or the socio-cultural political context from where the Weber derives his logic of understanding the society and the administration, okay, that is much more broader than any of these theorists. Okay, that could also be one of the reasons why he is dominant. Okay, or why his understanding of the society and the institutions of society is much comprehensive, much broader, much intelligible than there, because they are mostly associated with industrial organization. He is associated with society and politics. Okay. So Weber saw all this. Weber visualized the unification of Germany under Bismarck, okay, with an iron fist, with a strong hand. Okay, then the formation of the Weimar Constitution, and it was also a phase of industrialization. Okay, all this had huge impact on the theory of bureaucracy developed by Max Weber, or sociological theories developed by Max Weber. Max Weber is more famous for the sociological contribution. Okay, so he was not basically an administrative theorist. He was basically a sociologist. But then how he went on to develop a theory of bureaucracy or a theory of organization, okay, that is still a big question, a mystery. Okay, so unless we understand what logic he, or by what logic he studied the society, till that time we cannot find out. Okay, so Weber, okay, he was a keen observer. Okay, he basically wanted to study the society and the social facts. Okay, though the word was not used by him. Okay, social facts word was used by Durkheim. We have already Merton, Parsons, Durkheim. They were more concerned with that. Okay, but social facts, what he means, that what are the social realities which are happening. So he tries to study the society with respect to a particular theory which he develops or a framework known as the social action theory. Now this is a huge confusion. Okay, many people say Weber by being empiricist, rationalist, it is all that, it is true. But the methodology which he uses to understand the society is totally anti-positivist. Okay. The Weber's methodology to develop the theory of the study of society is known as anti-positivist methodology. ये नहीं पढ़ा सुना मैंने, ठीक है, बट मैं गलत नहीं पढ़ा रहा हूँ ना. Anybody from sociology background? Nobody. The methodology which he uses, okay, the purpose is different, but the methodology, that means the framework or the approach which he uses to understand and study the society, that is an anti-positivist methodology. In fact, he is considered as a supporter of anti-positivism in sociology. Okay. Now try to understand what is the logic. Okay. He is saying that the society cannot be understood, or the social actions, the social realities that happen around us, they cannot be understood merely by facts. Okay. They are not subject to only empirical verification. There are various aspects which are happening. The actions or the consequences that we see, they are born out of the subjective interpretation of the one who is doing it. अभी समझ में आया कुछ? Okay, if I say that I am studying the society with respect to empirical facts, that means what? That I know, or at least I have an assumption that I know. That okay, these are the facts, and this is a fact for him also, and this is a fact for me also. That means I will see exactly what you are also seeing. Or what anybody will see, they all will see the same thing. Is it correct? No. So he's saying the positivism or the positivists were so influenced by the facts of the society or the facts of the study of any phenomena, okay, that they did not consider that these facts may be different for different people. So it was not that he was not in search of facts. He was in search for the facts, the ideal, but his methodology of searching that fact was not positivist. He did not pre-assume the existence of facts. Okay, for him the facts did not emerge from the sensory perceptions. Only what you see, okay, only what you feel, only what you touch. He's saying it is not fact. It is not the reality. The reality is in the mind of the one who is actually doing it. इतना कुछ समझ में आ रहा है? So he's saying in any social action, that means what events we see at the social level, okay, it becomes important to understand the intention of the actor. The person who is doing a particular action, when I will understand his intention, then I can know the actual fact of that action. Why it was done? Because unless I know that, unless I study that, I will only see the consequence. The consequence will become the fact, but the consequence is not the fact. To know the entire logic of what the action was and why it was guided, I need to understand him also and what he did. Okay. In simple sense, he is trying to say that what one thinks and what one does, both has to be studied to know that what was done. ये कोई इतनी बड़ी बात है? इतनी मुश्किल चीज है? केजरीवाल की स्पीच तो है नहीं है. So, okay, it is simple logic that if I understand your intention, then I will also know that why a particular action was done. So he is saying that most of these studies which we conduct through the positivist methodology, we only study the consequence. We only study what has happened. But we never try to find out why that particular thing was or why it was done. Okay, now why he was doing it? It was also very important to understand that why he is studying the social actions or the society or its realities in this manner. Okay. So he is saying that whatever we witness in this society, whatever the power, authority, anything that we witness in the society is based on the subjectivity of the one who is doing it. What he perceives is correct and rational, he does it. Okay, that means it is not necessary that everybody will act on some universal predefined rationality or rational facts. He is saying the world does not function that way. Even if you know this is the absolute rational, you may not act that way. So why you have not acted, I have to find out. If I find out, then what can I do? I can understand that what are the variety of actions or the variety of facts which are existed. So he's saying I will use this approach, okay, because he was basically critical of the Marx. Okay. Historical materialism. Okay, he's saying it is not like that. The capitalism is not an outcome of the conflict. The capital system or the industrial development is an outcome of the political, cultural, economic requirements of the society. So based on that logic, he is saying that industrialization which we are going to witness, okay, it will have number of facts, number of realities, but these realities cannot be understood by seeing the facts of this industrialization. You have to understand that how the process of industrialization works. Okay. So if I see you this way, that does not mean it is the fact. I also have to know from where you came and why you are looking like this. Okay. So that was a methodology he used to study this society. Okay. Now based on that methodology, okay, or the approach which he uses, okay, we say that it was anti-positivism. Why it was anti-positivism? Because it did not accept the fact as absolute. Okay. Or he was not of the view, or the knowledge which he developed was not based on the assumptions that there are some absolute facts. He is saying yes, we have to find out, but we don't have to assume or take it for granted and accept it like this. So we must study the society or the realities of the society, okay, assume or based on the assumption that there are no absolute facts, okay, we have to understand each and every phenomena and then find out that what is the reality of society. Okay. So he starts doing or using his methodology. Okay, why he was doing? Because the context in which he was making his theory, it was such a dynamic context. Monarchies transforming into democracies. Okay, industrial revolution almost matured or tending to be matured now. Okay. Then numerous conflicts which were generated because of the power transfers in Europe, First World War. Okay, and so many other activities were going on, that he witnessed such kind of instability in the administration, in the society, that he had to find out that, okay, what can be the actual, what can be the ideal institutions which can manage the society, so these kind of instabilities do not arise. Okay, and now see, the backdrop was changing from monarchical regimes, from traditional type of societies, a transition toward the modern type of societies. So Weber was a theorist in transition. Okay. So from traditional or almost traditional was going to get over into the modern field. So late 1800, 1880s to 1920s, that was the phase in Europe. Okay. America was also emerging quite powerful, so he studied that also, and he wanted the American type of political transformation in Europe. Okay. So you can see he was influenced by so many happenings around him, and that is why he wanted to study the society first and then anything else. Okay. Now see, what is his logic? He is saying if the society will transform, okay, then if we know or we understand the factors of transformation, then we would be able to manage the society better. Will it be or not? Instead of being the victim of this transformation, if we understand or experience this transformation, then we can know that if the society changes from one phase to another, then what will be the best way of managing this change. Are you understanding this much? Okay. So he uses an approach to study the society, and consequently when he studies the society, he studies its various aspects. One aspect that he studies in the society is that how people act, how people behave. why they act in a particular way, why they behave in a particular way. Okay. And there were social action. Social action means more than one people will be involved. Okay, it is not individual action which he is studying. He is studying social action. Okay. Then how, he is saying, how these social actions work and how the emergence of the institutions take place, whether political, economic, socio-cultural, whatever. Okay, the kind of actions or the kind of realities which exist in the society, it gives rise to the kind of institutions which the society has. Okay. So if we were going through the independence movement or there was a particular type of conflict between us and the Britishers, then we would have tried to, or we would have at least created those kind of systems which are going to support our conflict with the Britishers. Is it or not? That is why Gandhi emerges. Okay, that is why non-violence becomes a dominant factor. That is why the socialists emerge, okay, or revolutionaries emerge, and they also create a separate system. Are you getting? So the emergence of those systems or any kind of institution, any kind of, you can say, organization is an outcome of the kind of social transformation which is taking place. Are you understanding this? Okay. Unless the society is highly stable, it is impossible for the institution to change the society. Generally, the society changes the institution. इतना तो ये तो समझ में आ रहा हो. Okay. That if there is a political stability, if there is a social stability, then the institution, yani organizations like parliament, legislature, judiciary, they may change the society. But if the society itself is in transition, then it will be difficult for any institution to remain stable. So the society is going through transition, so society creates institutions. Now when the society will stabilize, or whatever institutions have been created, so when the society will stabilize, which are required will stay, which are not required will not stay. Itna samajh mein aa raha hai? Okay, this is the way he studies the industrialization. That if industrialization is such a dominant social, economic or cultural force, then definitely it is going to create or it is going to require certain kinds of institutions. What the real or the practical manifestation of these requirements would be, that he wanted to study now. So he wanted to understand the formation of the organizations which will be supporting the industrial revolution or which will be the consequence of industrial revolution. Are you understanding this much? So if we have to take, or if the society has to move forward within this change, then either it will have to stick to certain institutions or ultimately it will have to develop certain institutions. Okay. Then only the society will remain in balance. Or it will acquire stability after some time, or after the transition phase. इतना समझ में आया? ब्रेन को थोड़ा आराम दे दो. ब्रेन गेन हुआ है, ब्रेन ड्रेन हुआ है? गेन हुआ है. अभी तो तुम्हारे यंग ब्रेन है भैया. हमारा ड्रेन होता है, तुम्हारा गेन होना चाहिए. I hope you know that brain cells eat themselves. Know that? No. If they are not used, okay, so they will eat themselves. If they are overused, then also they will eat themselves. Okay, that typical characteristic they have. If you don't sleep for long hours, if you overuse your brain, okay, then it will start eating itself. Okay, and it cannot be compensated. The neurocells cannot be compensated, they cannot be regenerated. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all because of that only. Fine. That is why smoking is bad. Because it kills the nervous cells. Okay. So, see, so he is trying to say that, okay, through the experiences that he has drawn, one practical, okay, another the theoretical developments, that means his contribution to the formation of constitution and consequent repercussions, okay, use of, obviously he died in 1926-27, so he might not have actually witnessed the rise of Hitler, okay, but he became instrumental to the rise of Hitler, okay. So you see, because of his practical experiences as well as his theoretical understanding, because he was a sociologist, okay, he tried to understand the emergence of organizations or institutions with respect to society. Okay. Now see, he is taking away the approach of the understanding or the development, or for that matter the prescription for a good organization, a best organization, taking it away from the industrial clutches, moving it out to the society. From the purely economic perspective of the Fayol, Taylor, Gulick, Ervik and whatever, or industrial perspective, he is taking away the study of the organization to the society. Okay, that is the contribution of Max Weber, and that is extraordinary in that sense, because the economic system is a part of society. It is not the society. Are you understanding this? Whatever they say, okay, whatever the Marx says, that it is the economics which define each and every aspect of individual, it is not true. So Max Weber is saying that it is the culture, it is the society which gives rise to a particular kind of institution and not the other way. Are you understanding this? No. Economics defines the society, or economics will be a part of society? Part of society. So if I increase the scope of domain of economics to cover the entire society, will it be justified? No. The society comprises of cultural aspects, political aspects, social aspects, and so many other aspects, and one of the aspects is economic. So no doubt during the Industrial Revolution, the economic would be a very strong factor changing the society, but it cannot be the complete society. It cannot be the only factor which will be changing the society. Impossible. Okay, that is what Max Weber tries to say. Okay. So his focus, okay, what is, obviously in sociology he studied so many things. Okay, the impact of religion on the formation of capitalist system. Okay. His famous book, Protestant Ethics and the Spirit of Capitalism, or the Rise of Capitalism in US. Okay. Is an extraordinary book on the understanding or the growth of industrial development in the capitalist systems, or the growth, emergence of capitalist system in the, yes. So religious traits, religious characteristics have a particular role. Okay. Religious or rituals, norms, okay, they have a contribution in the emergence of a particular type of economic system. Okay. Though once the economic system emerges, it may influence the culture and the religion, no doubt. Okay. But he's saying it was the religious or the cultural values which triggered the emergence of a particular type of economic system. Okay. You can see it here also. Baniyas, Marwadis, particular type of communities, okay, who are specifically engaged in businesses, and they have achieved huge success in businesses because of certain practices which is exclusively their religious practices. So those religious practices have contributed to the growth of the businesses. Okay, if your cultural practice says that you save more and spend less, then definitely you can finance certain things, you can invest more money than the others. Okay, if your practice says that expend more and save less, then obviously the same repercussion will happen. Okay. I think that is why certain communities emerged, powerful businessmen, and the others could not. So it is very much owing, it is not owing only to the biology and the business, what we say, people say business acumen. Okay. So business ability, business intelligence, it is not like that. That intelligence is also an outcome of some socio-cultural or other practices which you might have seen in your family, in your society, or in your religion. Are you understanding this? Okay, so he comes with his logic that you have to, or we have to understand the society, its values, or the way society functions to understand how the institutions have emerged or what kind of institutions will be there in future. So his primary work in the public administration or in administrative sphere, okay, has been the contribution to the theory of bureaucracy. Okay, bureaucracy term was not used by him. Okay, it was used long back. Vincent de Gournay, okay, or Thomas Carlyle, okay. In the European context, in France, okay, they have used the terms bureaucracy. but the use of the term bureaucracy was mostly negative in nature. Okay. So it was the Weber, you can say, who was the first theorist. Okay. Even though he did not give the term bureaucracy, he was the first one to remove the negative aspects around the bureaucracy. The negative meanings associated with bureaucracy were actually eliminated by the Weber's theory of bureaucracy. Okay. So now try to understand that bureaucracy, or the organization theory that he developed, he conceived bureaucracy to be an outcome of the specific kind of socio-cultural or the conditions which exist in the society. At least this you must have understood. That the kind of conditions which exist in the society, it will give a rise to the kind of organization. And bureaucracy, he conceives, is an outcome of the conditions, socio-cultural, political, economic, that exist within the industrialization. Okay. So he's saying if there will be a social transformation, we will need institutions to manage them, to control them, to administer them, to govern them. And those organizations must be suitable to the specific context. Okay. So according to him, or the bureaucracy which he develops is basically that, which suits the needs of the industrial development or industrial society. Okay. इतना ये लाइन समझ में आया भाई? The theory of bureaucracy, or the bureaucracy as an organization which he conceives, was the kind of organization or ideal organization to serve the needs of the industrialization. That is the logic of Max Weber. So he is locating the bureaucracy in the society, or trying to understand the emergence of bureaucracy with respect to the society in which it can flourish and survive. So to understand what will be the bureaucracy, or what bureaucracy will be, he will have to study the relationship of the society and the institution. Okay, that is his simple logic. So it was not just the industrial development, or it was not just the economics, it was not just the profit or efficiency or productivity which was the reason for the emergence of ideal or perfect structures of organization. He's saying no, it is the management of the society for which we want an organization, and that organization is bureaucracy. Now understand this way, that there is a structure which serves the needs of industrial development or productivity, and there is a structure which serves the overall needs of the society, which is much broader. The one which serves, that is the bureaucracy. Okay. So what structures the Fayol, Gulick, Arvik and those people are talking about, they are serving the economic needs of the society, whereas the bureaucracy is serving the overall needs of the society. Something like the managerial functions performed by the bureaucracy. The other technical, financial, commercial functions may be performed by the kind of organizations they have conceived. Okay. So his entire theory revolves around this idea, that how do we come to know that what is the kind of organization which is required to serve the needs of a society which is an outcome of the industrial revolution. इतना समझ में आया? नहीं? ठीक है? टॉर्टच तो नहीं हो? टाइम लगेगा अभी, तो टाइम लो, टेक सम टाइम, थिंक. Okay. You write few things so that you can read. Okay, right. Okay, context of लिखे. Context of Weberian theory of bureaucracy. Context of Weberian theory of bureaucracy. You could have written context of Weber, but that is not of much relevance. We have to, same thing we are talking about in the emergence of Weberian theory of bureaucracy. ठीक है, वेबर का क्या स्पेसिफिक फैमिली कल्चर, उससे हमें कोई मतलब नहीं है. But Weber and Marx both are such dominant thinkers, and both are from Germany, and both are Jews. That is so typical. Okay. Okay, right. Okay. Okay. Max Weber. Max Weber is credited with developing the theory of bureaucracy. Even though the term bureaucracy was not coined by him. The emergence of the word bureaucracy can be traced back to the 16/17th century France. (16th/17th century France). To the term bureaucratia or kratik. Which meant a strong administrative system based on rigid protocols. It is also referred to, or it is also attributed to, you can write. It is also attributed to the use of the term by Vincent de Gournay, पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वर्ड यूज किया, फर्स्ट टाइम उसको बोला गया बुक लिखा उसने. Okay, so he also used a specific term from where people take that reference. Or Thomas Carlyle, who referred to the bureaucracy as or referred to the emergence of bureaucracy, you can write. Referred to the emergence of bureaucracy as a continental nuisance. Continental nuisance. Okay. In fact, most of the meanings ascribed to the term bureaucracy, were negative or negative or pejorative? Pejorative means insulting, humiliating. Okay. It was the Weber who by his theory removed the negative connotations associated with the term, bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. Okay. Next paragraph here. Being an academician as well as a practitioner, who had witnessed the era of turbulence in Germany and rest of the Europe. His approach towards the study of society and the forces of its transformation were quite realistic, vivid and descriptive. Underline these three words: realistic, vivid and descriptive. Okay. Why descriptive? Realistic because he witnessed, vivid because he could comprehend in so many dimensions, and descriptive okay, he also wanted to provide reasons for whatever he's saying. Okay, he also wanted to understand things empirically. It is not that he was not empirical in his approach, or at least empirical in his purpose. Okay, but the way he used it, okay, it was very value-laden, or socially it was contextual in nature. Okay, he was not searching for some universal model of organization. Okay, even though people say that he created an ideal model, yes, he created, but he was not searching for the ideal model of organization. He was searching for an organization which would be suitable or which would serve the needs of the industrial society perpetually. Okay. The way society will transform, the same way the organization will transform. Or what will be the peak of the evolution of the society, the organization is going to serve that. Till the society reaches its peak, there will be the validity of this, there will be no expiry date of this organization. That is what Weber was looking at. And that is why he connected the organizational or evolution of organization or the characteristics of organization to the best features that the society would demand. Understanding? If you are evolving, now you will not want to go back. So if you are evolving, and if I comprehend that, okay, what will be your maximum evolution? what will be the peak of your evolution, and then I create an organization and say that this organization has all those features that will help you while you are transforming towards your peak and when you reach your peak both. That is what the bureaucracy is. Okay, bureaucracy is a social organization. It is not something like a structure. It is not something like just an administrative organization. It is not something born out of a particular political context. No. He is saying it is as social as the society. And if the society is evolving in this particular direction, then this organization is parallelly developing with the society. Or it is serving all the needs of this developing society. The moment the society achieves its peak, still there will be relevance of this organization. Okay, that is his logic of the bureaucracy. So he does not perceive bureaucracy as static or a dead organization as we perceive. Okay. He is saying that it is going to serve the needs of the human civilization till the time the humans evolve into or achieve the maximum of their civilizational peak. Till that time it is going to serve the needs. Have you understood this much? It's okay, go home, enjoy. Don't understand more than this. Okay. Okay, but think about why we have used the term anti-positivism. Okay, the methodology used by Weber was anti-positivist. Okay, the purpose may not be anti-positivist, but the methodology. Okay, he is not using just a fact-based study. He is trying to study comprehensively the various contextual factors of the society and then what kind of organization will be required by it. Okay. So it's like something that you identify all the problems and then give a solution. So whatever the solution you will give, okay, that will be the best and nothing can beat that solution. Okay, same thing he is trying to do. That what could be the possible ills of governing, find all those ills, okay, factually as well as otherwise, and then give a solution so it will serve all the purpose. Okay, a medicine which can cure all the problems of governing. That is what bureaucracy is. Okay, then see you tomorrow. Any doubts you have?